video I'm going to do right now is I want to share with you, this is going to be kind of a different video. I want to share with you some of my favorite memories, a few of them, from my era, 1970 through about 1983, 84. And the funny thing, I'm shooting this in my basement, and I closed the basement door, and the handle fell off. So I can't get back out of the basement till my son David wakes up. Now I could call him on his cell phone, but he left that downstairs in the living room because it disturbs him when he's trying to sleep. So he's up in his bedroom with the door shut, phone in the living room, and me stuck in the basement. So I'm glad I was set up to do this, so I can have, so I can share my stupidity with all of you. But you know, I titled this video Conveyance, Music, the Magical Time Machine. And the reason I did that is because my most precious memories are tied to songs of the 70s and early 80s. And you know, I have to say that I don't much care for the world that we live in today. Everything that was wrong is now right. Everything that was right is now wrong. And it, you know, it's just mind-boggling to me. I would, without hesitation, return to the years 1971 through 1984, because those years represent the happiest time of my life. And what makes those years all the more memorable is, like I said, the music. It was an era of unparalleled styles, and something to fit every taste, from rock and roll to disco and everything in between. Except for country. Back then I couldn't stand country, but now I kind of like it. But I loved it all, and so many are truly keys to my past. Now, I know I'm not unique in what I'm about to say, you know, just about the music, but it was my dad and my mom who were my best friends, and I also miss or have memories attached to special friends, special places. Places that I worked, and traumatic up and down relationship with a very strange girl that I thought I loved and who became my first wife and my first divorce. The best friends I ever had, though, or ever well, first of all, of course, is Jesus, and then my dad and mom. And they were not just my parents, they were my dearest friends. I mean, they were the best I could have ever asked for. And there was the only time in my life that I felt truly loved. I want to share some of those special memories with you. You know, earlier today, I was listening to a song called How Long by Ace. Wonderful song, awesome intro guitar work. And it's from an album titled Five Aside, and I had that when I was, I think it came out in 1974, yeah. But as I played that song, I closed my eyes, and for a moment, there was a feeling that was almost startling for me, because just for that fleeting moment, with my eyes closed, I felt like I was back there in 1974. I could smell the smells, I could feel my dad and mom, and feel the warmth of that small house that we lived in on Cedar Lake Road in Oscoda, Michigan. But then it was gone. And the reality of this time and place brought me back, and I felt profoundly blessed to have been, for that brief period, back home. See, my older brothers and sisters had all left home to begin their own lives, and they had never called the house in Oscoda home, because my folks and I moved there after my brothers and sister had left. It was as if I was an only child, and I selfishly enjoyed that. I was very pleased to have Dad and Mom to myself, save for brief moments when others would come up to visit. Well, in 1972, I was 17 years old, and I will admit, rather immature for my age. Now, some people might say I'm still immature for my age. I might agree with them. But I struggled with the angst that all teens go through. I was unsure of myself, I was unsure of my sexuality, unsure of what my place would be in the world, and hanging over everything else was the war in Vietnam. It was still going unabated. I did my duty and went to the post office and registered for the draft. My brother Bill was stationed there, and even though him and I had never gotten along very good, I was always terribly worried that he would die. But he didn't, and I'm glad of that. I want to tell you first a very special memory about my dad, Frank J. Morrison. See, Dad was a very moral man. But he didn't pay a whole lot of attention to God's Word until we moved up to Oscoda. And I started going to a small church there, Huron Baptist Church, and through Pastor Phillips, my dad was led to the Lord. And so was my mom. But I believe my mom was saved a long time before that, because she was a member of First Christian Church in Saginaw here back in the 1930s. But Dad had a lot of health problems, which is part of the reason we moved up from Saginaw to Oscoda. Well, Dad had had to have a hip replacement surgery, and back at that time, it was a lot different than now. The surgery for hip replacement took like almost 12 hours, and here was a man with a weak heart already. But he survived it, and he got better. But the doctors warned him that for a while, he should take things physically easy, so to let that completely heal. Well, my dad, being as he was, he loved to be outdoors and he loved to fish. So he went down to the Asabo River and he kind of hopped onto a rock, and that was all it took. The surgery came undone, and it had to be all done again. So I used to sit there at church next to my dad and mom, and he had accepted Jesus, and he was walking with crutches. And in that faith, and in a lot of others, when you make a public profession for Christ, you walk down the aisle and confess that He is your Lord and Savior, and that and then the pastor prays with you, and so on and so forth. But my dad was determined he was not going to do that until he could walk down that aisle and leave the crutches behind. Well, this one particular Sunday morning, the altar call came. I think it was just As I Am. And my head was bowed, praying. Mom's was bowed, praying. I know you see what's coming. And all of a sudden, I looked up for some reason. And he was gone, and the crutches were laying there. And there he was, making his way up the aisle to make his public profession of Christ. There was not a dry eye in the church that day. It's a very small church, maybe about 30 people. But there wasn't a dry eye there. He was well loved, and he went on to be Sunday school superintendent there. He was a good man, and I was so proud of him that day when he set those crutches down and went forward. But now let me tell you a little funny story, okay? As I've said, love music. Music was more of my life than it should have been, really. But my favorite artist was Elton John. Well, I remember one warm summer evening. No, let me back up. This is how patient my dad and mom were with me. We lived in a small house. The upstairs was all one bedroom, and that whole bedroom was mine. And I had bought an awesome component stereo system, and I loved to play my music loud. And never, one occasion, did I ever hear my mom and dad complain about the music being too loud. And they were right below it. I know, in retrospect now, it had to be bouncing the furniture up and down just about. But this one summer evening, a friend of mine, I worked at Norwood Products, we made pool sticks. This one friend of mine from there came over to the house, and we were going to watch, I believe it was on HBO, Elton John's concert in Central Park. And it's a wonderful concert. If you haven't seen it and you like his music, check it out. It's here on YouTube. But anyways, Mom and Dad were sitting there, and Mom loved all the modern music. But they were sitting there, and Dad was begrudgingly, maybe a little bit, sitting there. And then Elton John comes out to do a song called Bite Your Lip, Get Up and Dance, dressed in the Donald Duck costume. Waddled his butt out there, shook his butt so the tail feather shook. And my dad looked at me, looked at the TV screen, and he said, "What in the hell is that?" And the guy that was there from work that was watching it with me said, I can't take this. He left. But Dad and Mom watched the whole concert with me. But the look on his face I'll never forget. They were such wonderful people. Back then, of course, there was no social media or YouTube or any of that kind of stuff. And when a new record would come out by somebody, a really popular artist like Elton John, sometimes they would debut it on certain radio stations. They would play a song from the album, and then they'd go do their other songs, and they'd play another song, and so on and so on. Well, I was bringing my mom back home from some appointment she had. We were driving through Oscoda, and CKLW out of Detroit, or across the river in Canada, began to play the songs from the Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy album. And our reception up there to that channel was really spotty. So when they announced that they were going to play the "Someone Saved My Life Tonight" off the album, and so I pulled into McDonald's parking lot there, and I turned off the car but left the key on, so we could hear the music, and got kind of a really spotty listening to "Someone Saved My Life Tonight." It was really cool though, I thought, because the album wasn't even going to be released, I don't think, for another week. And Mom sat there tapping her feet and just really enjoying it too. Like I said, she loved that music almost as much as I did. But it's just a little moment in time, a fragment in time that is embedded for the rest of my life. It's funny. My son, my biological son Dennis, doesn't speak to me. But when we were speaking, he convinced me to let him take all of my photo albums. And there were hundreds and hundreds of photos, going back to the 1800s of my family. But all my pictures of my dad and mom. I only have a couple left because he took them and then he stopped talking to me. He got into Satanism, and I couldn't deal with that, and so we just don't talk. And I lost all those precious photos, but nobody can rip those memories from me. Those special memories like that concert and McDonald's. So I want to tell you just one more little incident. It was, I had a Comet, Mercury Comet car. It was a sporty little car. God, I loved that car. It was so cool. And I had the best cassette stereo system in there that you could get at the time. It cost me a lot of money. And I had 6, 7 other guys in the car with me that I was giving a ride home from work. That's me, Dennis Beckner, Craig Ziegler, and I don't know, a couple other guys. And Billy Bones and the Whitebird from Elton John's Rock of the Westies was playing it. I cranked that up as loud as it would go. And we're just driving down US 23, just really enjoying the music. And all of a sudden, there's a whoosh, and the hood of the car popped open and went flying off behind us. It was crazy. Thank God nobody was right behind us, because it could have been very serious. But I pulled off the road, and we all just sat there stunned and then started laughing hysterically. And I backed up the car, and a couple of my buddies picked up the hood. We got it into the trunk, tied onto the trunk, and we got it home. And the next day my dad let me take his car to work, and he took mine to get repaired at, I forget what the shop is in Oscoda. Good memories. So many. And I just wanted to share a few of these with you. You know why? Because I love all of you. And your comments, to me, are such precious memories too. You have no idea how each and every one of you that take time to leave a comment brightens my day. It truly does. God has blessed me with being able to continue to have this channel and being able to share with all of you and being able to read those comments. You guys are all precious to me. That's all I got for you right now. It's kind of fun just to sit down and talk with you like this, and I look forward to maybe doing it again sometime soon. God bless you all, and again, I love you all very much on the other side of that screen, and I'll hopefully, God willing, see you again real soon.